Greetings, math fans. All right, so today we're going to do another type of factoring, right? And this type of factoring is actually factoring trinomials. And so let me write that out here. We're going to factor trinomials. Okay, and a trinomial, remember, is three terms. And this is what the term is going to look like. It's going to be like something ax squared plus bx plus c. That's how it's going to look. All right. And so actually today we're going to concentrate on that a being 1. That makes it a little bit easier. And then the next lesson is going to be when the a is not 1. In fact, I'll show you kind of with one problem with a being not 1. Okay. But anyway, so let me just start out with a problem here. Here's the first problem: x squared plus 9x plus 20. So our final answer is going to be some combination where when you FOIL it, it's going to have those terms like this. And when you FOIL it, you're going to get back to x squared plus 9x plus 20. Okay? So we're going to use something that I've learned from way back in the day. Mrs. Young taught me this, and this is my very first year teaching at Lamont High School. So I give her credit for this. And it's something called a factor box. Okay, and so this is how a factor box works. Again, if you kind of follow along, it's really not bad, but you just need to follow along. It's all good. So factor box, I'm going to draw an L, and then I'm going to draw another like upside down L here. And then it kind of looks like if you look sideways, like a fish, or I don't even know what it looks like. Okay, so this is a nice little factor box. Okay, so you can practice this right like this and like this. Okay, anyway, so I'm going to take that first term, the x squared, I'm going to put it here. I'm going to take the last term, including the sign, is positive 20, so I'm going to put it here. And I'm going to take the middle term, and I'm going to put it right here. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is up and down in this side of this box. Actually, I'm going to put a plus inside here. And up and down, it's multiplication. And left and right, it's multiplication. And what happens is once I get to that, once I do all that, well, let me just show you what's going to happen here. So do you guys agree x times x is x squared? Okay, so that's what you're trying to say. You're saying, hey, what multiplies together to give me x squared? Well, x squared is the easiest one because that's just x times x. That's always the case. Remember, I said we're going to start out where it's just a 1. The next lesson, it's going to be where there's a number in front of that x squared. Okay, so it's x times x, and then you're going to say what times 20, what multiplies to give you 20. Now there's different combinations. Let's just kind of think about it. You can get 4 and 5. You can get 2 and 10, and I can get 1 and 20. There are 3 different combinations, and you got to try those combinations. But what's going to happen? So let me do the wrong one first. Okay, I'm just going to try this. There's a little trial and error. 2 and 10. So now that right, it's all multiplication going up and down. Now I'm going to multiply right and left. So 2 times x is 2x. 10 times x is 10x. Okay, the last step, the very last step, is you're going to add or subtract depending on what you want to do, depending on what the sign is. So 2x plus 10x is not 9x, it's 12x. So that was these were the wrong combinations. That 2 and 10 were the wrong combination. Right, so I'm going to actually just so I can keep it up here. You can erase it because you have your eraser or your iPad. But I'm going to just draw another factor box quickly. So I'm going to draw this x and x. I know it's an x and x. So I'm going to draw, instead of having a 2 and a 10, let's try a 4 and a 5. So I'm going to put a 4 here and a 5 here. Okay, so I multiply across and I get 4x. And I multiply across, I get 5x. Now I add, going down that way. What's 4x plus 5x? The answer is 9x. So we're good to go. I've chosen the right combination. So this one is good. That's my correct factor box. Okay? So this is the answer. I am going to, and this is important, I'm going to circle this. So this is always the x, like this. So just like that, okay? And so my final answer is x, and again, you got to do that x, so it's x plus 4 times x plus 5. That's my answer. Okay? So if I would FOIL this is like a super easy check, math fans. If I would FOIL that, I would get x squared plus 5x plus 4x plus 20. All right, then I combine that, I get x squared plus 9x plus 20. And I should get the exact same answer. You are not going to do this. Please don't put this on the answer blank. I've seen people do that before. They go and factor it, and they get this. They get x squared plus 5x, or x plus 4, x plus 5, and then they FOIL it out, and they put x squared plus 9x plus 20 in the answer blank. And I think to myself, what are you doing? You're putting the answer that I gave you as the problem. There's no work here. It's like me saying, what's 2 plus 2, and you put on the answer blank 2 plus 2. Okay, so make sure you're good with that. Make sure you put your x plus 4, x plus 5. This is just a check for yourself. It's an easy check. All right? All right, that was a lot of stuff there. Let's do another one. Again, it's really not bad, but let's get another one here. So if I have x, get rid of this. If I have x squared minus 9x plus 18. Okay, so I'm going to basically put my x squared here. I'm going to put my 18 here. I'm going to put my negative 9x here. Okay, so this is x and x. And then you say, well, what multiplies to give you 18? Okay, so you got a bunch of different things. You got 2 and 9. You got 3 and 6. You have 1 and 18. So there are 3 combinations to give you 18. Okay? So, but here's the deal. It's got to multiply to give you 18, but remember now, it needs to be a negative 9. So think of your signs. If I made these both positive, it's certainly not going to be negative. You have to remember that it's going to be, they both have to be either both positive to give you 18 or both negative. Okay, so the signs are really important, guys. They are super important. And if I look at the 18, I'm like, oh wait, if it's both positive, both negative, and it has to be a negative, that means they both have to be negative. So both negative. That's really important. Okay? And then you kind of look at yourselves and say, well, what multiplies together to give me a negative 9? Or to add together to give me 9? Or even, let's think about just positive 9. Do you guys agree 3 plus 6 is 9? Okay, so that means this is going to be negative 3 and negative 9, or negative 3 and negative 6. Okay, because negative 3 times negative 6 is 18. So if I multiply across, I get negative 3x. Multiply across, I get negative 6x. There we go. Negative 3x minus 6x is negative 9x. We're done with the problem. X minus 3, x minus 6. That's my answer. Okay? Cool, and again, you can check it by FOILing it out. I'm not going to do that for each problem, but you can FOIL it out to check it. Okay, cool. Let's keep going here. X squared minus x minus 12. So x squared, negative 12, negative x. So I'm going to put an x here and an x here. Now, it's got to multiply to give you a negative 12. So let's think of combinations. I'm not going to even put signs here for now. We're going to have 2 and 6. We're going to have 3 and 4. And 12 and 1. I'm going to be honest with you, math fans. Most of the time, this is not the case, the extremes. Most of the time. So I'm always going to work on these guys first. So do you guys agree? One has to be, in order to be to multiply to give you a negative 12, one has to be positive and one has to be negative. Okay? So I am going to, basically you're subtracting, right? One's negative, one's positive. So think about it. If I do subtraction, what's 6? If I would have put the wrong one in there, let's put 6 and 2, just to show you I'm going to put a wrong one in there. One of them has to be negative. So I'm going to put a negative 2 there. And then, without even writing this stuff in on the right, what's 6 minus 2? Isn't it 4? Well, it's not negative x. Okay, so that one's not good. Okay, let's put the 3 and the 4 then in. So 3 and 4. And just because I want to make the wrong answer initially here, let's put the negative with the 3. Because negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. That's good. But if I write this, so negative 3x and 4x. Do you guys agree that negative 3x plus 4x is positive x? So this is kind of the only extra little trick here. If you get you almost get the answer, but negative 3x plus 4x is positive x, you pick the wrong sign. So the deal is, I am just going to change the sign, and this one's going to be negative. That's all I do. Just switch the sign. So that means this is going to be a negative here, and 3x minus 4x is negative x, and you're good to go. So that's your answer. Oops, sorry. And that one. So the answer is x minus 4, x plus 3. So you got to be a little smart with this. Okay, and you got to think of combinations, and if it's negative, one's got to be positive, one's got to be negative, and then they have to subtract to give you that negative x. Okay, so let's keep going. I got a bunch more to do here, just because I think it's good to do practice here. X squared minus 3x minus 28. So x and x. Oops, so let me write this out here. Negative 28 and negative 3x. So remember, one of them has to be negative. So you're doing subtraction. So 28 is 7 and 4. And sometimes you do it right away. You go 7 and 4 is 28. And you're like, oh, wait, 7 minus 4 is 3. Oh, wait, but it's negative 3. Oh, it's negative 7 and 4. Because that's negative 7x and positive 4x. There we go. We're done. So x plus 4, x minus 7. Sweet. Okay, let's do another one here. We've got more room here. Let's do x squared minus x minus 30. So x squared, negative 30, and negative x. So x and x. So it's got to subtract to give you x, or negative x in this case. So 30 is 6 and 5. And I'm like, oh wait, 6 and 5. 6 minus 5 is 1, and I need negative 1. Oh, negative 6 and 5. Oh, sweet. There you go. That's your answer. So x minus 6, x plus 5. Woo, done with the problem. Whoa, this is pretty easy. Okay, so we got a few more. Again, you know, whatever. I'm going to do one with a leading coefficient of other than 1 in a second here. But I just want to do a few more here, just because it's fast now. So I'm going to do a nice little factor box. X squared, 8, 9x. Okay, so I'm going to do x and x. 8 is 4 and 2, and 8 and 1. Now in this case here, if you look at it, right, they both have to be positive. You agree with that? Because you're trying to get to be a 9x, positive 9x, and this is also positive. Okay. 4 times 2 is good, but 4 plus 2 is 6. But 8 plus 1 is 9. So that's what we're going to do. So it's x plus 8, x plus 1. And by the way, it doesn't matter the order. It could be x plus 1, x plus 8. That doesn't matter. Okay, so let's just do, we'll do a couple more here. X squared minus 10x plus 24. So x squared, 24, negative 10x. So again, you guys should look at this. The x is easy. You should say 24. And they both have to be negative, right? Because it has to multiply to give you 24, but it has to add to give you negative 10x. So they both have to be negative. Both negative. So you got 6 and 4, 8 and 3, 12 and 2, 24 and 1. All right, and so I look at which one gives me 10 when I add them both together. Oh, there we go. 6 plus 4 is 10. So it's negative 6 and negative 4. So x minus 4, x minus 6. Okay, not bad. One more before we get to the big kahuna. Okay, so I'm going to do x squared minus 5x minus 24. X squared, negative 24, and negative 5x. So x and x, that's easy. And negative 24 is going to be, well, we got to think of it. It's going to be 8 and 3, 6 and 4, 12 and 2. And again, once you figure it out, you don't have to worry about it, right? And by the way, it's got to multiply to give you 24, and it's got to subtract. It's got to subtract because these are opposite signs, right? It's got to subtract to give you negative 5x. So let's see. Oh, 8 minus 3 is 5. Well, it's negative 5. Okay, cool. So which one's the 8 is negative? So negative 8 and 3. Sweet. So it's x minus 8 and x plus 3. Nice, nice. Okay? All right. So let's do one problem. I'm not going to do too much here, but I want to do one problem with leading coefficient that's not 1. All right. And maybe yeah, you know what? I'm not going to do that in this lesson here. Okay. I'm going to say that for the next lesson because I just want to end this now. It's already 16 minutes. But that's how you do these types of problems. And we're going to start out with the next lesson where the leading coefficient is not 1. But that'll be tomorrow's lesson. Okay. All right, math fans. That's it. Hopefully you guys are good with factor boxes. And thank you to Mrs. Young for good old factor boxes. Either Mrs. Young or Mrs. Ebersold. One of those two, I think, gave me that. Anyway, that was good. All right. Have an outstanding day, math fans. Adios. Goodbye.